the biggest tragedy of modern times is the disease of complacency. So when we're just too complacent, when we know that we can just eat all throughout the day and we just kind of pick and pick and pick and pick, when we watch too much TV and everything's too easy, and we don't exercise enough, and it's a kind of complacency that your cells just don't mesh with. So fasting is great, but then also think about other ways that you can challenge your cells, whether it be exercise, jumping into a really cold bath, or having a really hot steamy shower. Those sorts of things your cells love. So okay, right, well, thank you so much for joining me again today for the day 2 of the fasting masterclass. I'm so excited because there's so much good information that I want to share with you. There's so much that you need to know about fasting. As I said to you yesterday, it is potentially a life changer. It is potentially something that you could start doing, and it could potentially change the way you eat forever. So I'm really, really excited about sharing the information and helping you guys understand how you can integrate it into your life. And that's what today's session is all about. It's all about, first of all, having a quick recap. Then we're going to go into the types of fasts that you have to choose from. And there's quite a selection of intermittent fasts to choose from. Here's a really interesting piece of information for you. Depending on how long your fast is, determines what the benefits are. Depending on how long your fast is, determines what the benefits are, which is really interesting. If you think about going for a 10-minute run compared to an hour run, you would have very different benefits happening in your body. Your body would have very different adaptations because they're very different things. So for those of you who did the 18-hour fast, I commend you. Well done. You're really getting stuck in. I'm so happy for you. Did you know that when you do an 18-hour fast, it's one of the key points in time when there are more anti-aging benefits? How crazy is that? So an 18-hour fast is a key point in time when your body starts to kick into anti-aging mode, which is really interesting. So those of you who are wanting to turn back the clock and wanting to feel a bit younger, well, 18-hour fasts are a fantastic time to choose going forward. Not every day, but I'll explain how to use the fast in your everyday life in this video today. Today, I'm going to show you how to do it. But first of all, you had 2 tasks from yesterday. The first task was the 18-hour fast, and the second task was to come up with an activity that you can do that can change your emotional state as well as food can. So we all know that food changes your state. So if you're bored, if you're anxious, if you're excited, if you're confused, if you're in a bad mood, the food tends to change the way you feel. And that's why a lot of people might find themselves emotionally eating or getting themselves into an unhealthy cycle with food. I know I certainly did when I had a binge eating disorder, and boredom and feeling just lost in life were the 2 feelings that I was covering up with food. But also, even if you're not an emotional eater, when you're fasting and you're feeling bored, stressed, angry, anxious, then you're gonna need another thing to help change your state besides food. So hopefully, I'm hoping that you came up with a task of some sort that you can do when you're feeling that way, and you can do it to change your state. So for me, it's a podcast, a motivational podcast, or just getting outside. The weather in the Caribbean is absolutely insane right now, and I'm looking outside and the sky is blue and the trees are just blowing in the breeze. It's such a lovely time of year, isn't it? But I've been really, really happy to see the feedback from yesterday's session. And I've been hearing great things about the 18-hour fast. People have been saying things like, I really appreciate food right now. I really appreciate healthy food. I want to continue the benefits of the fast. I want to continue to feel great as I do when I'm fasting. It's making me really conscious of the foods that I choose to eat. So that was a really cool thing. But another thing that people have been coming back with is hunger. So I wanted to spend just the first part of this session just talking about hunger, and perhaps even just reframing the way that you feel about it, because hunger can feel awful and it can make you feel like you're doing something fundamentally wrong when you're fasting. So I'll give you an example. When I did my last one meal a day, I hadn't done a one meal a day for a couple of years, because just as a quick side note and a quick thing for you to know for yourself, if you are of normal body weight, or if you're even a little bit under, then having a rigorous fasting routine is not needed, and it's even not advised for females, because if you're on the underweight side and you're vigorously fasting, then it could mean that you're not eating enough calories. You're already fasting on some level. You're already doing something. You're already eating low calorie. You're already fasting on some level. So by then adding a fasting schedule on top of that, you're at risk of just not eating enough. And that's a one-way trip to hormone imbalance. So for me, I fall into that category, and therefore I haven't done a one meal a day fast for a couple of years, but I did do one recently, and I have to say I was absolutely fine. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get through this. Like, I'm just gonna, eat dinner one night and then I'm gonna eat dinner the next night. That's my plan. So I was fine, like morning time. I was like, this is great. Like, this is going to be so easy. It got to 12 o'clock and I thought, yes, this is so good. In about 6 hours I can eat. That's fab. But then when it got to 3 o'clock, suddenly the most intense hunger overcame me. And I was like, uh-oh, this ain't good. It was a very kind of intense hunger, the kind that makes you feel like I've got to eat something. Something feels wrong. And that's when I started to doubt everything. That's what hunger does. It makes you doubt what you're doing. It makes you think, gosh, maybe fasting isn't a good idea. Maybe this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel healthy. Fasting isn't for me. And it can really play with your mind. Now, of course, I don't blame you if you then go to eat something, because if you're hungry and you want to eat, then that is your choice. That is your liberty. Go for it. But if you want to stick to a fast and you're feeling that hunger, I want you to know that hunger is just a simple request for food. And that's it. It's not life or death. Think about all of the people I told you about yesterday, all of the religions who fast for days, people who fast for even like a month. So it's not life or death. It's just a simple request for food. And please understand that hunger comes in waves. So those of you listening, if you're feeling hunger at the moment, understand that it will go. And then it will come back, and then it will go. People do fasts of days, 3-day water fasts, and they don't feel hunger the whole time, because it's all about mindset as well. So if you set your mind to a certain length of fast, then you'll tend to get hungry towards the end because you've set your mind to it. But if you knew you were doing a 3-day fast, then you probably wouldn't even get hungry right now. you probably wouldn't even get hungry in an 18-hour window. So hunger is very much emotional, and it's not life or death. So I needed to remind myself of that the last time I did a 1 meal a day. And to complete my personal story, I had I had a couple of hours of very intense hunger. Then I thought, right, I've got to change what I'm doing, and I have to change my state. So I basically distracted myself. And I think at the time, I'm not sure what I did, but I think I just laid down and I just listened to a podcast or music. I can't remember which one it was. And I completely distracted myself, and the hunger went away. It just goes away. It's like, okay, I'm not needed here. I think I'm just going to go over here. and then it heads off. So please understand the nature of hunger. It's not life or death. You're safe, you're fine, and you can do this. Okay. So today I just wanted to quickly recap and say that fasting is a healer, and I hope you really know that now. I hope you've really taken that on board and you understand it on a cellular level. Speaking of cells, we're going to be talking about them today. But fasting really gets into your cells, and it really gets into your body, and it presses Control Alt Delete. It heals, it cleans. So it's a really great thing to incorporate into your life, and I'm so excited about sharing it with you. So today I'm going to go over the 4 top benefits that relate to fasting and your dream body. So I'm going to talk about how fasting helps you burn fat. We're going to get to the juicy stuff today. Helps you burn fat, how it helps you prevent disease, but then also how it helps reverse the clock. It helps slow down the aging process. It's fab. And then I'm going to just go over the different times of fasting. So at the very least, 12 hours, and at the very top, 36 hours. So I'm just going to take you through generally the different points in time, what happens at each point, because it's different. The benefits are different. So when it comes to the benefits of fasting, there's a list. There's a huge list of benefits, from hormones to mental clarity, to increased energy, boosted mitochondria in your cells, like all sorts of things. But I'm going to talk about the top 4 that relate to you the most. And the first one I want to talk about is the anti-aging one, because I've been talking about it a lot. So I think I better disclose. So again, those of you doing the 18-hour fast, you've been dipping your toe in the fountain of youth, so to speak. When you fast for about 17 hours plus, something really magical happens. An increase in something called autophagy. Now, I don't know if you've heard that word, but I'm about to tell you, and it's fabulous. So every single cell in your body, you are made up of millions of cells. Your skin, your hair, your organs, everything is made up of cells. And those cells don't last for a lifetime. They renew themselves. So they come alive, they do their job, and then they die. And then they come alive, they do their job, and then they die, and they recycle. And they clean themselves, they maintain themselves. They're very responsible cells. They kind of look after themselves. They don't need any help. And your cells basically have a lifespan. So in about 7 years, those of you listening, in about 7 years, you're going to have a completely different body to what you have now, because every single cell in your body would have changed roles, would have changed over and switched to the next cell. So that's pretty fascinating. And that process of cell renewal is called autophagy. Now, here's the crux. When you're young and you're youthful and life is good, and we all know how that feels, autophagy is very, very rapid. So your cells are renewing themselves constantly, and you're always fresh. And it doesn't matter if you had a crazy night out, you wake up looking refreshed and amazing, and you continue to for years. But as you get older, autophagy slows down. So to give you an idea, if you think of your skin cells, a child's skin cells have a lifespan of about 28 days. But as you get older, we're looking more at 50 days. So your skin actually doesn't renew itself as quickly, and the same for the rest of your body as well. So you're thinking, oh, so what can I do though? How can I get some more of this autophagy stuff then? Well, that's why you're here, right? Fasting. Fasting is a key way to increase the rate of autophagy. Here's the thing. Your cells, they're not shrinking violets. They don't like an easy life. They like to be roughed up a bit. They don't want to sit down and watch Netflix. They don't want to sit at a desk and watch a Zoom call. They don't want to graze all day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus snacks, plus dessert. Like, they don't want that. They want to be challenged, and they want to be roughed up a bit. Cells love a bit of stress. So when I say stress, I mean things like exercise. I mean the trendy trends of hot and cold therapy, so sauna therapy, cryotherapy. They love really hot temperatures, and they love really cold temperatures. They love any kind of stress, any discomfort that you put your body through. They really like it. And that's what triggers them to wake up and say, oh, we're not watching Netflix anymore. We're fasting. Okay, we'd better clean up. We'd better recycle some things. We'd better get rid of some toxins. And they really wake up when you stress them out. Now, obviously, with any stress, you don't want to overdo it. So they love a 10-minute sprint, but they're not too keen on marathons. They love an 18-hour fast here and there, but they don't love it when you don't eat for months and months. So you can have too much of a stress, and it can go the other way. You can have too much of a good thing, and then they wear themselves out, and then you get more problems then. So it's really about striking that balance, and giving them just enough stress to start the process of autophagy. So autophagy, cell renewal, cell refreshing, getting rid of toxins, cleaning up, that's what fasting helps you do. And from 17 hours, that's when autophagy kicks in. So well done if you're doing the 18-hour fast. There's a quote that I love from an author called Michael Easter, and he has this fantastic book called The Comfort Crisis, and I highly recommend it if you love stuff like this. So he said something really great. He said, I believe people have innate evolutionary machinery that gets triggered when they go out and do really fucking hard things. Excuse my language, sorry. I hope there are no kids around or anything. I love that. And a personal quote that I have and that I like to use is, the biggest tragedy of modern times is the disease of complacency. So when we're just too complacent, when we know that we can just eat all throughout the day and we just kind of pick and pick and pick and pick, when we watch too much TV and everything's too easy, and we don't exercise enough, and it's a kind of complacency that your cells just don't mesh with. So fasting is great, but then also think about other ways that you can challenge your cells, whether it be exercise, jumping into a really cold bath or having a really hot, steamy shower. Those sorts of things your cells love. So out of the 4 benefits, that's benefit number 1. And I love that one. The second benefit, we're talking about fat loss now. So I know a lot of you guys are here because you want to shape up, you want to lose some pounds, and this benefit is for you. Something called metabolic flexibility kicks in when you fast. So in a nutshell, when you are born with the most beautiful, fresh, incredible body that knows how to do everything just without us even telling it to. And when it comes to energy and how it uses energy, it is so flexible. It can use sugar for energy and it can use fat for energy. And when you eat, it uses sugar, it burns up the sugar and it uses that for energy. And when you haven't eaten for a while, it's like, oh, okay, I'll use fat then. And it dips into your fat stores and it starts burning fat. And then when you eat, it burns the sugar. And then when you haven't eaten, it burns into fat. And it kind of flips between the two and everything's dandy. And you're young and you're vivacious and you can't gain weight. It's hard because your body is so happy to burn fat. It's just so happy. It's so metabolically flexible. But then, you guessed it, as you get older, and if you have a diet that your body doesn't like, so if you tend to eat junk food, if you eat a lot of processed foods, if you don't exercise, and if your lifestyle hasn't been great recently, the metabolic flexibility becomes a bit more stiff. So instead of burning sugar and then burning into fat, guess which energy source your body stops using when it becomes metabolically inflexible, sugar or fat? And I know you know, fat. So as you get older, your body finds it more difficult to dip into fat. Especially if you have a diet that's high in sugar, high in processed carbohydrates, takeouts, junk food. That sort of stuff really damages your metabolism. So if you just look at a croissant and you gain weight? If you find it very, very difficult to lose weight, if you've got really, really stubborn pounds that just won't shift, there's a chance that your metabolism could do with a bit more flexibility. So it needs to become more happy to burn fat for energy. Basically, if you're finding it difficult to lose weight, your body, for some reason along the line, has just found it very difficult to dip into fat for energy. And so it's been storing it instead. So fasting, let's do it. Let's make your metabolism go from stiff to flexible. So by going from a fasted state and then eating, and then fasting and then eating, having a fasting lifestyle, that repetition, it's like a bicep curl. The exercise between fasting, eating, will help to relax your metabolism so that it can burn sugar and it can burn fat easily. Because if you're metabolically inflexible, your body only really burns sugar and it finds it difficult to burn fat. And if that's you, then you may experience things like, if you haven't eaten for a long period of time, your body might be craving sugar more than ever. You might be more hangry than ever. Your mood might be, really turbulent because you really want to eat, but really it's because your body can't burn fat. It's demanding sugar because that's what it's used to. So by fasting, you can relax your metabolism and it can start to burn fat. How good is that? And that happens from 12 hours, and it accelerates as the hours progress. That's benefit 2. Benefit 3 is something called insulin resistance. Now, fasting helps to combat insulin resistance. Now, just to let you know, insulin resistance is basically referring to the hormone insulin. And when you, if you have metabolic inflexibility, if you have a stiff metabolism, or if you have a bad diet, or if you're not exercising, what will happen is your cells might find it difficult to accept insulin. So it will find it difficult to use the insulin that's produced. In a nutshell, insulin resistance is the core reason why people might have heart disease, diabetes, stroke, Alzheimer's. These are all metabolic diseases. And if you boil them all down, insulin resistance is most likely to be at the core of why those metabolic diseases are happening. So by fasting, you can actually help prevent metabolic diseases like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, obesity. Now, if you have insulin resistance, there are ways that you can know. So things like if you have a large waistline, so 35 inches or above, if you have high cholesterol, especially high triglycerides, if you have high blood pressure, and if you have skin tags. So skin tags are those little pockets of skin, those little tiny things that kind of pop up maybe on someone's eye or on their underarm, or they tend to appear in places that are hot, like underarms, like in the crotch, and like maybe under breasts. Skin tags are signs of insulin resistance. So if you have skin tags, that's a sign that your metabolism isn't well. So you need to kind of fix your diet. When I had my binge eating disorder, a ton of skin tags appeared on my body, especially on my underarms. So I was very insulin resistant when I was binge eating, which was interesting to know. And the final benefit, which I'll kind of go over quickly, is something called ketosis. Now, ketosis is a state where you're just using fat for energy, and fat has a byproduct called ketones. And ketones are another form of energy besides sugar and fat. So when you're burning fat, that's a good state to be in. Your fat will start to cleave off ketones, and your body will start to use ketones for energy as well. Hence, where the term keto diet comes from. Because once you start using ketones for energy as well, it's like rocket fuel. So when you start releasing ketones after, maybe we're going more into maybe 24-hour fasts, 48-hour fasts. When you start really going into ketones and using ketones for energy, it's like freaking rocket fuel. It fuels your brain like nothing else. So people report having the clearest mental clarity that they've ever had. They have the cleanest energy. They just feel so vibrant and alive. And they're like, why? Like, I'm fasting. Like, why do I feel so freaking amazing? And ketones has that ability to kind of really tap into your energy stores and really like give you a really clean source of energy. So ketosis is something that happens. It takes a while to kick in, but once it kicks in, it's good. So those are my top 4 benefits. And now we're going to blend into the fasts that you have to choose from. So you have, for intermittent fasts, they're usually 24 hours or less. So you have a platter of fasts to choose from. So I've written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. So I've got 4 options here for you, and you choose which ones you like, and I'll give you advice on how often I recommend they are done. So first of all, 12 to 16 hour fasts. These can be done daily. 12 hours is an absolute minimum for everybody. 16 hours can be done daily, or maybe just 5 days a week. 14 hours can be done daily. So between 12 to 16 hours, that's when your body starts to dip into fat for energy. So if you choose to just do 16 hours fasting, 14 hours fasting, then you are successfully burning fat for energy. And you will, if you're eating the right diet and you're living a good lifestyle, you will lose weight with that fast. And that can be done daily. And I personally find it easy to do a 14, 16 hour fast. Like, that's quite easy for me. So that might be your go-to, your kind of daily go-to fast. 18 hours is when anti-aging kicks in. So if you're happy to just lose weight and you're happy and you really want to go into the magical autophagy, then I recommend you throw in an 18-hour fast into your week. So maybe once or twice a week. I wouldn't recommend more than that, because you don't want to be eating too little overall over the course of the week. So 18-hour fasts are great for that. Now, you can safely try a 1 meal a day. So that's kind of also known as a 24-hour fast. So when you do a 24-hour fast, your body basically says, okay, I see now, you're not giving me any food. So I'm going to shut everything down and I'm going to start healing your gut. So the 24-hour fast, the 1 meal a day fast, is the fast for you if you have any gut issues that you want to help resolve. So for example, if you get gut pain, if you get bloating, if you feel like there's any sort of heaviness or inflammation in your gut, then try a 24-hour fast, a 1 meal a day. And that will literally go into your gut and it will spring clean all of the cells in your gut. What 24 hours actually does is it produces new stem cells. So stem cells are cells that produce new cells. So they're cells that literally make new cells. So obviously it makes sense to really boost your stem cell activity. And at 23 and 24 hours, that's when stem cell boosting occurs in your gut. And that's when your gut tends to reset. Don't forget, in your gut, you have most of your immune system. I think about 70% of your immune system is produced and lives in your gut. And also serotonin is produced in your gut. So serotonin helps to improve your mood. So if you have a gut that feels bloated, it feels like uncomfortable, you always know it's there. You can always sense it. If you're just feeling uncomfortable down there, maybe there's some pain, maybe there's some cramping and not feeling great, your immune system is in there and your serotonin is in there. So how do you expect your mood to be? How do you expect your immune system to be? That's your feel good. That's your feel good in there. So if you heal your gut with a occasional 24-hour fast, then you can imagine the effects it has on your immune system and your mood. When you fix your gut, you fix your mood. So I recommend that. If you think, right, I want to push a bit further, I want to try a 1 meal a day, you just literally eat 1 meal a day. just one day. And that's when you know you've basically done some good work on your gut. I wouldn't do it more than once a week. So 24-hour fast once a week, no more than that, because you want to make sure you're getting enough nutrients over the course of the week. And finally, this one is only for you when you've become really, really comfortable in 14, 16-hour fasts, 18-hour fasts, 1 meal a day. When you can confidently say you've got lots of experience with those, then I recommend trying sometime a 36-hour fast. The reason why is because you are here to lose weight, to shape up, to feel good about yourself. 36 hours is the time at which your body really digs into its fat stores and burns it up for energy. So if you're wanting to lose weight, then getting to a 36-hour fast is recommended. It's like I used to, at home in London, I used to have a pond, and the pond always looked super clear on top. But when I'd grab the net and I'd dig right under, you know, when you dig into a deep pool and then all the gunk comes up. So if you've, over the holidays, especially if you've been, drinking lots of alcohol and eating sugar and processed foods and, maybe toxins have been getting into your body, a 36-hour fast is a really good way to dig up old toxins and dig up, fat cells that have, been sitting there for years. And you can really target them and you can start to burn them up. So 36-hour fast is great for fat loss, but I would be careful with that one. Only do it if you're very, very comfortable with the others and you're feeling safe. And then anything over 36 hours is really, really niche, and you're looking more at disease reversal and, reducing the size of cancers and resetting autoimmunity. You're looking at disease, like targeting disease, if you go over 36 hours. So in summary, 12 to 16 hours can be done pretty much daily. 18 hours I would do once or twice a week. 24 hours I would do no more than once. 36 hours, I would do it just once a month. Just once a month. I wouldn't overdo it. So that's a summary of the fast that I recommend. And I just want to go over just some loose ends, because obviously we're women and we have hormones to consider. Our hormones love fasting. They, if your hormones are out of balance, so just say you struggle with PCOS, or just say you're in a perimenopausal state, or if you're going through menopause, if you struggle with, diabetes or anything like that, your hormones absolutely love fasts because fasts tend to balance them out. But the issue with hormones and fasting is when you eat too little calories. And this is a warning. I want to kind of finish on a warning today. Fasting can get really, really sexy. You can do it. I've been there, by the way. That's how I know. I've overdone fasting. I'm going to put my hands up. I've overdone it in the past. It can get really sexy. You can lose lots of weight. You can think it's the best thing since sliced bread, excuse the pun. And you can feel that doing more fasting is better. But the truth is, more isn't better. What you need to make sure you do is to make sure you're eating enough calories, because let's not forget the other side of fasting. The other side of fasting is eating. It's a nutritious diet. Your body is built from the food that you eat. You need to eat. You need calories. You need good quality food. You need to nourish yourself. So you can't have fasting without the eating. So if you're not eating enough calories, that's when your body thinks it's unsafe, that there's a famine, that it's unsafe to have children. So if you're cycling, then as in if you're experiencing menstrual cycles, if you're in the cycling age, your body will decide that it's not a safe environment to have a baby. So that's when it messes with your sex hormones. Your periods might stop, or they might become irregular. You might find it difficult getting pregnant. It can really mess with that side of things. If you look at female athletes, they often lose their periods when they're training because their body fat percentage is so low that their body decides it's unsafe. So for women, for you guys, men can fast till the cows come home, but women have to be a bit more delicate because our hormones are delicate. So I recommend that you don't take the notion that more fasting is better, because you could end up harming yourself in another way, and it could be rooted in hormone problems. So that's a personal warning. I've done it myself. I'll disclose something that's quite personal to me, but it just feels right to talk about. Years ago, a few years ago, I was new to fasting and I was experimenting with it and I was freaking loving it. I was on top of the world. My energy was incredible. Like all of the best things you can think of with fasting, I was doing. I was also doing keto and I was also exercising a lot. So that's a lot of stress on the body, too much. And what I found was I wanted to conceive a child. It took me 2 years to conceive my baby boy, Bowie. And that was a hard 2 years. And it wasn't until I visited my gynecologist and my dietitian, and they both said, yeah, you're not eating enough. I mean, just look at you. You're very, very thin. So I made it my mission to put on some weight, and I did. And then I conceived my child straight away after I put on a few kilos. So that's a personal story from me. I've corrected my behavior since. I've been sick for the last few days, and I haven't enjoyed the fact that I haven't been eating very well for the last 2 days, because I know that I'm already very slim and it's not good for me if I don't eat. So please be careful with fasting. Please don't overdo it. Balance it with good nutrition, because that is the other half of the coin, right? So I'm just going to finish by saying that I really appreciate that you're here and that you're listening. And I really hope that fasting can go into your lifestyle in the future. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how to break a fast safely. So when it comes to 24-hour fast, 36-hour fast, you've got to know how to bring food back in without giving yourself a tummy ache. So just all of those technical things about how to do a fast and how to bring food back in after you've done a long fast. But I just wanted to say that I don't want you to do this alone. So you are going away with really great tips about how to do an 18-hour fast, 24-hour fast, even a 36-hour fast. But the last thing I want is for you to leave this masterclass, give fasting a try, and then forget about it. Maybe decide it's not for you, or maybe you break a fast and you feel guilty and you think, oh, it's not for me. And you just feel like you're just back onto another diet. I don't want that for you. I want you to leave this masterclass tomorrow feeling like you're going to make a serious change this year using fasting. And the best way to do that is with community, with a group of like-minded ladies, where you can share your stories, you can share food pictures, you can share times when you're hungry, and you can complain about your fast. And that's community is the best way to stick with something. And like I said yesterday, 30 days is a really key time to solidify a new habit. So if you live a fasting lifestyle for 30 days, then you're more likely to make it a habit of it going forwards. On top of that, there's so much more to know. Like, it's not just about fasting for 18 hours and, fasting for 36 hours. There's so much more to it. There's what foods to eat to help boost your fasting experience. When it's a good idea to maybe drop in some low carb and when it's not. When you need to really focus on detoxing your body and focusing on foods that detoxify and, all of the activities you can do to detoxify. So there's so much more to it. And I want you to get this right. I want you to do this right. I don't want this to just be another thing that you tried and that you didn't stick with. So I want to let you know now that tomorrow I'm going to be opening the doors to my She Fasts program. It's a 30-day program, and it's had great feedback in the past. This is the program where people said it was life-changing, and fasting is the best thing they ever did in their life. I mean, that is that very program. So I am going to be opening the doors for enrollment for She Fasts tomorrow. And the She Fast program kicks off on the 23rd of January. So you have up until the 23rd of January to prepare your body for a 30-day intensive fasting experience. And the time up until the 23rd of January is not going to be empty space. It's going to be a time where I recommend you detoxify your body and you prepare for the fast. And if you enroll onto the program tomorrow, then you'll have all the information on how to do that. You'll be dropped straight into a Facebook group, and you can start chatting with the other ladies straight away. So I'll be opening the doors tomorrow, and I'll give you more information. Then it will be at a $50 discount, discounted rate. So it will be $199 for the 30-day program. And if you think about how much that is per day, that's probably like the cost of a coffee per day. So it's really, if you invest in your health and you invest in yourself and community, and it's really not that much. So anyway, that's just my little spiel at the end. I'll give you more information tomorrow, but tomorrow I want to talk about how to break a fast, and I want to go into even more about fasting and answer your questions as well. Anything that you need to help you go forwards after these 3 days.